Hello people, welcome to Steve Long's Workshop, and of course I am back from Ohio. So hello and welcome back. Now then, let's back to work, shall we? Doing tape recorders this time. And this tape recorder is not what you think it is. Most units like this, people tend to think of Philips, but this one isn't. It's a Fidelity, as you can see there. It's a Fidelity. So without further ado, let's take the lid off as well. Yeah, put those out of the way, and switch it on and see what it does and doesn't do. Little bit of a motor noise there. It's got that. Okay, fine. Okay. Doesn't seem so good. Then we open that, and the HT is there because we don't think it's on. Now, if this here lights up green, then it's valved. So let's see if it does show it. If it does it might just be part of the valve, part of the transistor. I don't know. This machine, by the way, is a Philips. It's not a Philips. It's a Fidelity. And I do wonder if the venting shows from Philips with this machine, because it's got the usual problems with it. So let's go and have a look. That's off, by the way. That's the tape that goes with it. So we'll keep that to hand, and we'll see what is and isn't wrong with this thing. That can come off, right? And have a look under here. Have a look under here, and that looks. Oh, that one's out with the wire off there. That one's out nothing with it, so it's probably going to be my first port of call, putting that back on there. They're the same head as you find on other machines or other BSR decks. I don't know what heads they are. I think there's something like megalith. I don't know for sure, but anyway, that one is doing things it shouldn't. Superimpose, yeah, okay, that's okay. So what we do first of all with a machine like this, all the stuff that we need to sort out mechanically, we do last, because there's no point doing all that sort of stuff if the machine doesn't work and can't be got working, which is rare around here, but it does happen from time to time. So unplug it and have a look inside and see what, who and where and that sort of thing. These are things, you know, does it do everything it should, do anything it shouldn't? It does actually, because it hums quite badly, as you've heard. So is that stuck on there? Okay, fair enough. Okay, so they'll come off, and I'll put them out the way as well. Come back then in a minute, and work out how it comes apart, because it must do. Possibly. Always look before you leap. Like I don't. Look before you leap with anything like this, because if you don't, you can have all sorts of problems later on. All sorts of problems. Buttons not coming off and all sorts. So let's have a look. So okay, so are the screws holding this thing on at the back? If there are, No, there aren't. Okay. So is it really held on by just this button? If it is, then it's standard Fidelity quality, obviously, which means standard Fidelity quality. Anyway, so we'll 4-track. Okay, that's the 4-track, by the way, is something which you don't see very often these days, but it does occur. So that means that 1 track with that off, 1 track will work and 1 track will not. So again, that's something which we come to a little bit later on, after we've taken the panel apart and had a look inside and see what is what. Tape recorder of this type, generally speaking, are very much much of a muchness, but how they go operate now after all this time, well, that's something which we'll have to find out by looking and hoping. I'm trying to get where my dad has put some of my tools while I've been away, because they've been in here working, so without my permission, which is something which we should never do, but they do. Okay, so that comes off. Okay, that's off. Right. Does that make it come off? And here as well, does this one come off and make it I noticed there's a little bit of rust on that actually, so that again could be a problem. Yeah, most of decks of this era will have problems with them. There's no two ways about that, but I'll take the rest of it apart and come back. All manufacturers, and I mean all manufacturers, do tend to put things into top ordinary people getting them out and got to think a bit. And with these, the holders that hold the top here on here, or hold this on here, this thing, they come out and then the top comes off. Anyway, with the top off, you can have a look and see what it's doing, or not doing, as the case may be. First of all, rewind. It looks as though it needs a bit of a clean. Fast forward. It also looks as though it needs a bit of a clean. Play. There we are. There's some action on that switch as well. But when you go to record with this machine, like so, there should be something on this magic eye here. And there doesn't seem to be, does there? Now, this could be a wire off somewhere. It could be a number of things. So we know straight away that comes off as well. And this goes down like that. Like that. And that should come up. But it doesn't, so that's the first also, if you look, you see now, that appears to still be in playback, doesn't it? Because of that. Now, as far as the hum's concerned, they come in a number of different forms. The first one to note is whether the hum in question goes down with the volume control. If it doesn't, straight to smoothing capacitors. if it does, if it does, then it could be somewhere else. Okay, that's something else which you have to be ready for, shall we say. But so now, of course, I now go and put this back on here, and hopefully, well, I don't think we have to do it. I'll leave that and put tape on and see anything that it does and doesn't do. More likely this one doesn't, but you know, we'll do our best. Quite straight, but it'll do for this. So this one now goes on here like that. Fidelity were very much you know, full coat and no knickers type company, but they did some pretty good stuff back in the day. I think the nadir of Fidelity was probably in the 1970s. I had a couple of their radios when I was a kid, and they were equally interesting, shall we say. It's something which made me to this day, actually, to be honest with you. I don't know what's on this tape, by the way, so this is going to upset the copyright. Well, I don't actually pay this stuff, so we don't know what's going to happen, do we? Well, it's also a three-speed machine, by the way, as well, so we've got that too to worry about, haven't we? Okay, nothing, fair enough. Out it comes. Then we know from that a number of things. First of all, we know that it's not switching between play and record. We know that it needs to clean. Well, any tape recorder these days will do, so that's nothing special. And basically we've got a work cut out. So now we look at what this machine wants and needs, and what's it into a state of good repair again, which should be fairly easy on this. Note, should be fairly easy. Whether it is, well, I don't know. It should be fairly easy. So let's hope it is. So again, I'll take the deck and stuff out, and we'll put it on the bench and look at various things that are obviously wrong with it, and then take it, as we say, from there. Now, a good engineer will do a certain number of things to decide whether something is restorable or not. Now, first of all, that goes to deck, and the heads, therefore, I thought that's the deck, yeah. That's the deck, yeah. That one, okay, yeah, and that one. Okay, so we know from that the head is okay. Plate, at any rate. No, erase heads are easy to change because basically all that is a coil, but that's another subject for another day. Now, with this, I've also found why it appears to be stuck in play. These units, Fidelity units, switch it over in a rather basic, or very basic way. Underneath the deck, there, you see that, yeah, that is what the switch operates to switch over the circuit here. So if we take that out, we should be able to put that in. Also, I noticed there's one or two pieces of belt in here. Now that's no problem, because this machine, the belt only does the take-up counts, and usually they're pretty easy to source, and anything will do that. So that's not something we really need to worry about. So let's have a look and see, get this other board out and see what how it comes out, and have a look at the board and find out where it's not doing what it should be doing, because it doesn't actually play on that tape. I'll put another tape on to check, but I think the first thing we do is clean all that up. Now notice this has been probably somewhere moist, because if you look at these here, there's moisture on that, so we need to look at that as well. Also underneath the deck, if you see that, the transformer there, and the rectifier for the audio side of it, and the transformer, all that needs to be checked as well. I don't know exactly why it's making the buzzing noise, but we'll find it. Some of these decks tend to be a little bit hummy, but this is too much, isn't it? Now, like I say, tape recorders very much one and the same, so you know, this here they're pretty basic, so we still get this one working without too much trouble, I hope. By the way, in Ohio, by the way, in Akron, Ohio, hi Katie, by the way, if you're watching, tape recorders from over here, when transferred over there, they will not run on the same frequency and the same power, because they're on 60 hertz rather than 50 hertz, and therefore they will run at a different frequency on the motor, and also over there things are 110 hertz rather than 230, 240 over here. So if you take this machine over there, it will probably not run very well. If you take a machine from over here and put it over there and put it over here, then of course it will go bang very, very soon indeed. With the unit of parts on the bench here, I can look through and find out any causes of problems. Just so simple. First of all, the playing record is here. It's a switch on the board, and that fits into it there. So that's why it wasn't actually switching from play to record. That's simple enough. That one has come off, no problem. It's a trick switch. It switches the erase head out for trick recording. That's something which, you know, some people like to do, some people don't. I personally don't bother, but you know, some do. This deck, by the way, is a BSR TD20. Quite rare actually, and I'm not sure which people use them actually. It's 3-speed, like I said, and it's basically one up from the one that you normally get with buttons rather than, you know, the usual up, down, left, right thing. So this is the next deck on from it. But needs a clean, which I'm going to do. And looking at this board, I don't think there's anything which I need to change on here. I might be wrong on that, I probably am. But capacitors wise, actually everything is either these Philips capacitors, which lots of people use it and they don't fail, or small ones which don't fail either. So possibly that one there, I don't know, but the rest of them I think are probably going to be okay. Speakers okay, we know that. We know that transformers okay. We know that transformers okay. We know that's okay. So let's get on with it. This tape recorder can split into two parts. So that's what we're going to do. So first of all, get your camera, and of course take a few pictures. Very important. So first of all, down here we've got I'm just going to that, like that, and the transformer. Direct the way, right. We've got that. Now I've one that way as well, and that should do. So now we get the soldering iron or pliers or whatever, and we take these wires off, having now got something that tells where they all go. Something we didn't have back in the day, but we do now, so might as well use it. Now in this situation, this deck is, like I said, a BSR TG20. Now the TG20 is the one that came after the TD2, TD10 decks, and it's better. It looks from the outside a bit like the Philips deck, but it's not actually. But it's actually rather better, and it's better because unlike the famous Philips decks, these don't have a drive belt which turns to goo, which is a common issue with the Philips sets as tape recorders, as we all know. So they come off like that, yeah. And down here, there's two more which come out. Down here, let's see if we'll come out with the iron first. If they will, then I'll do it that way. But if not, well, I'll take them out the other way. That's has that done it? Nearly. We'll try that again, but just once more with the iron, just to see if it'll come off. And that one has. So now we take the one with the right iron. There we go, and there we go. So now we can now take that out of the way, and we'll do the two separately. So that can move somewhere quietly and safe out of the way, and we'll take it from there, as they say. So that can go down here like that, and we'll come back to that. And now we've got this deck to deal with and sort out as may be. Now with any tape deck of any kind, any tape deck, cleanliness, like record decks, is next to godliness. So whether you believe in God, which I don't, so you know, it's very true. Also, do not put grease where grease should not go. If it's not grease or anything there, don't put it there, okay? Don't put it there. You know, it only goes where it needs to go and not anywhere else. That is very, very important, because if you not, if you put grease where grease shouldn't go, or oil where oil shouldn't go, then you are asking for trouble. And when you ask for trouble in this trade, believe me, you get it. So now, have a look round, look at how to take things off if need be. okay like that. Like that. Yeah. Now this deck is a lot simpler than the Philips version and the old TD10 decks as well. The speed control is up here, like on the Philips ones, and it's done with by moving this wheel here. Okay. So if I was put it up for you to see like that, can you see that? 1, 2, like that. You see, and move that wheel there. Now most of this is okay, but I give it a clean anyway, just to make sure everything is more or less okay. And also, I think this has been somewhere moist, so I'll take things out and have a look underneath as well. So again, these wheels come off in the usual way with the spring clips. The screwdriver of the right size, and also from there you simply clean them up and put them back on, and also clean underneath as well where they go. They're all mostly all clean, and what's better safe than sorry. So basically, you know, it's also with these decks I noticed that these don't move quite the same way, so you don't have a problem with them moving about the deck. So it's all here. Okay, so one after another we'll get these wheels off and clean them up. Always remember, please, wherever possible, please, one at a time. Yeah, you can't do it here because of that one and this one, but you know, always one at a time. Now this deck has very little in it that wants to be done. Actually, that's free, and they don't have anything underneath it, so no oil, no grease, nothing. So again, don't put it there, otherwise it won't work. That's got a commonplace, that. The speed control is here at the top, and as you can see, again I'll hold it up for you. You can see that it operates this wheel here, which drives the capstan. So the other way around, like that. You see, it's there, okay, there, and that drives and the capstan there. All of it is surprisingly clean, actually. I've cleaned up the moisture as much as I can. There's nothing serious with it, you know, so that deck is as good as far as possible done. So now we've got to look at the electronic side of it. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to wire part of this deck up and not all of it, because as we said, this tape recorder had some buzz on it which come from anywhere. It didn't actually do anything with the volume turned right down, so the smoothers are okay, but I'm going to have a look at that board and see what it could be. I've got one possibility, but only the one. Some of these things do get a bit hummy, but not that hummy. Okay, not that hummy. So there's something not quite right here. So I'll have a look first of all on this board here, which has got certain things which need to be checked. So I might actually take this board off, actually look underneath. I know, what's it got? Has it got 2 or 3 in there? Red, yellow, and green. Okay, so it's 2. So possibly one of those may be faulty. It depends on a lot of factors. But other things it could be, of course, are cathode shorts on either any of these valves. There are a lot of things it could be. So we've got to look and we've got to find out before we go any further, which I'm going to do by wiring up only this side of it first, not the heads, and if I then sort out where it goes to the board, which is here. If it goes to the board, which is there on the deck, can you see it? It's there. You see that? Yeah. If I short that and it goes away, then the problem is obviously the heads or something around there. If on the other hand it doesn't, then there's something with this board, and it will be, I think, guess, possibly that capacitor there, or maybe I'm thinking that one there, which is not got the mustard around it, so it could be that, also that as well, but I think it could well be that one there, if anything. So I'll wire it up on the mains block and power it up and see what happens. Right, well, the transformer has been wired back in. The audio for the deck hasn't, and the reason for that, which I'll come to. But with that like that now, you see, there should be something between there and there. And there should be. There is, yeah. And between there and there. Okay. So now, if I were to switch on there, the motor will spin up, I hope, and also we shall get something around 6.3 volts here, like there. 6.3 volts AC, by the way, not DC, AC. Heaters are always AC on these. So, and that's okay. That's about right. So happy with that. Now the AC side of it, the DC side of it, of course, comes from the diode, which is here on the circuit. So again, if we put it in there like that, then we should get something. We do. Okay, fine. Right. That's also in our favour. So therefore, we know that transformer is putting in AC and DC. Now, the reason why I took the valves out was, of course, if I got anything wrong here and the valves have been put in, well, it might have been a little bit of a problem. So best with them out for now. That's what I've done. So now that's back together. The record deck works. So the tape deck works. So now I'm going to have a look at this circuit diagram, at this diagram of this board here with you. I'm going to find it now and quickly check and make sure that everything looks okay before that goes back on again. So back in a minute with the circuit diagram. I hope I've got it, I really do. The transformer is now connected, and now it's time to switch on and see what happens. The deck will be fine, we'll check that it's fine. The motor should run. Yeah, and heaters are coming up and the HT is coming up. Now it takes a second, of course, for the power to come through, but with it, what that I say, listen to that. But with it dead, there's nothing there at all, okay? So therefore, if we now whip this valve out, which I'll do with the power off, yeah, and we'll see then if it still makes a noise. It probably won't. It probably won't. Okay, right, okay, so now, again, we put this valve back in, and take that out just for preventing short circuits. Put this valve back in. Go. Maybe a bit better with the glasses on, you know, there, yeah. So with that on there, you see, with it up full, we shall get, and we do. Okay. Next thing we do is shut the input, the deck. And how about that? So, we know from that it's something around here. Now these machines, they have capacitors of various types attached to them at this stage here, this valve here, and of course if one is short circuit or something, then we need to look at that as well. And so now I'm going to look very closely at that valve and the voltages on it. That's the next thing we do. So we get a screwdriver, one that fits, preferably. Does help matters, you know. One that fits, and we then lift out this board here. With this board out, we can look underneath at the various bits and pieces underneath here and voltages, because I bet there's some, I bet, it's a guess, I would go for that capacitor and another one here, an older one which I've not seen, so I will probably change those two, but another thing I will need to do here is find out exactly where this noise is coming from. It's coming from this side here. Now this side over here, it's the on-off switch is there. That's the volume control. And with the volume control right down, it virtually goes away. And of course, with it sorted to deck here, it goes away. So therefore we know from that the problem with this deck is before the volume control. And not only that, we know the problem with this deck is a home generated in that area. So that comes out, yeah. These come off, not completely, I don't really need to, but these come off, and we take out this board and have a look inside it and see what it is and isn't packing. I suspect one or both of those capacitors there, which I will change. So the meter's connected on DC volts, which is now anyway. And so now, if we select now, put it back on. There you go. That's the motor going right nicely there, and we should get voltages somewhere on here. So straight away from that, it leads us straight to one of those capacitors that I'm going to change straight away. So I'm going to look at those two capacitors first of all, take those out, change them, and take it from there. When you take the circuit board out and have a look, you never know what you're going to find. This has been added. I don't know what that is there, so I'm going to have to rework and check all of that as well. Capacitors, by the way, one is 0.0 microfarads, which is in and working, and this one is 8 microfarads at 275 volts. Now that, for me, probably is the one that's causing the problem. So I'll change that one and clean it up, and then we'll try it. I've finally got the circuit, so let's have a look before we get on with the unit in question, which is still buzzing even with those three capacitors in. So yeah, also the buzzing stops when I short at the input and with the volume control down, so I know more or less where it is. But anyway, power supply here, yeah, L84. Now the L84 does two jobs on these machines like this. That's an ECC83 and that's the EM87 Magic Eye. Now on playback it's quite simple. Head, preamp circuit with volume controller on tone, output pentode, speaker, music. Quite simple, yeah? Now on record with these sets, goes in here, audio goes in here like that, and goes down here to the head, and also to the head goes a higher frequency signal, a bias signal if you like. Yeah. Now this is because on the record you have to have that, otherwise it doesn't go on the tape properly, if at all. So this is otherwise the other way around. Into an oscillator circuit, the coil is there, it's on the board. Okay, so that's how it works basically in a nutshell. Circuit there, the oscillator also drives the erase head of course on these, which is there. Okay, it's quite simple. Power supply along the top, on switch, well, where it's needed. That's basically how it works. That's basically how it works. So now it's decided still not to work. But I have to look and find out why it's not working still. Like I said, so next thing I'm going to do is I am going to get the volume control, which is here, and do disconnect capacitors there, 0.1, which goes here, and find out then if the thing still buzzes like a good one. If it does, then we go forward. Don't know, it's obviously coming through somewhere. If it doesn't, then we go back here. Okay, and then of course that one, and then that goes to head on playback, but it goes to the switch down here, which is here, and so that as well. So various things it could be, and we have to look and find out. Also these decks, by the way, like I said, they use a TG20 deck. The TG20 is the last deck from BSR and was only used on these machines. So these machines are important in two ways. One, it's very similar to the Playmaster, but also they're the only tape recorder Fidelity is to use the TG20 deck. So the only TG20 will come across are in these machines. Now at this stage, I've taken out that capacitor, and most of the buzzing seems to have gone, as we'll hear in a minute when it warmed up. It's still buzzing a bit, but it's nowhere near as loud as it was, and that bracket seems to have gone. So probably now it's a bit more stable. That's how much I get now. little bit more. That's as much as I get now. So that's what we get now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a slightly more on the capacitor in there, because I'm not entirely convinced about that one, and we'll see if it comes back. If it does, I changed the valve. The valve was okay. The replacement valve's here. I'll try it again to a point, but I don't think it'll matter that much. I'll also then take out take it up here again. You see like that. Take out capacitor 3, which is that capacitor there. That capacitor there, because that is on the other side of the valve. So I think it probably is due to one of those that are doing it, because after that it goes to heads. So I'll also check to deck, because without the heads in circuit and with capacitor 3 out and switched off, there should be 10 megohms to deck to R4 against the circuit. 10 megohms to deck to R4 the grid week, so I'll check that as well while I'm at it. So we're getting there slowly, very slowly, but possibly surely. Be a bigger this one actually. In the end, I didn't need the air signal generator. I found an open circuit track on this PCB here. So now, if I power it up and wait for it to come to life on me, like so, and go onto the head itself. That's one track. And the other one goes out. I think we've found out the source of the rest of the hum as well, haven't we? So now we've got to look at the track wiring on this deck. So as far as I'm concerned now, the amplifier is as good as finished. So what I'll do, I will now put this back together again and get to work on this deck and find out precisely why one deck is working and one isn't. It goes through here, by the way, so no it doesn't, does it? No, it goes through, it goes through, hang on, if I turn the deck round, which I'll do with it switched off, there you go. I'll put that out of the way. I'll put that out of the way down there. Right, so if we turn this deck round like that, you see it goes through these two wires here. So the problem is now therefore on the deck here. Okay, it's here. So the deck itself needs to be put back together again. That needs to be put back together again, and now we're working on the deck itself and find out why. This probably might be the problem that put the unit out actually in the first place, because this is a 4-track machine and one of the tracks doesn't seem to do anything. So yeah, exactly. So either fix it or modify it, depending on, you have to modify stuff sometimes, don't you? Well, the grid resistor was leaky, not a high value, but I've changed it and it's fine. And the capacitor also was not entirely its best, that's been changed as well. So now, if I switch it on like that, hopefully we shouldn't get too much of a racket now compared to before. This is at full volume, by the way, so it should be phone, by the way. Well, so it's still making a noise, but not nearly as much. That is just about acceptable. That, but one thing which we don't have now so far is any noise from the heads at all. There should be something, because basically a head is a coil basically, so there should be something across the coil. Now if I look on the circuit, like I said, there should be a connection between the heads and deck going off the circuit diagram here, and there wasn't. So that's one thing. But this is a 4-track machine, of course, and if I go here first of all, there's not very much. Even with the finger, there's not very much. So as you can see there, if I were to pull that off like that, there's not anywhere near as much as it should be. So next thing to do is follow it through back to that capacitor, which I've changed, of course, and forward towards the head, which is the next thing to do. So it's audio SIG-gen time. So I get an audio SIG-gen and we'll take it from there. Right, now of course, on the tape recorder here, the final fault is obviously between there and the heads. Yeah. Now, this is a 4-track machine. 4 tracks mono. That means you can record 4 separate tracks on the tape. It was quite common in the 60s to do that. It's not common now, but for data machine it meant a tape, but in effect with twice as long, with not much loss in quality actually with machines like this. So anyway, 1 track, it's okay. I see. You see, the other side. Ha ha ha. So therefore, next thing we do is get the old magic spray like that, and which means therefore that all the usual home problems on this machine are sorted. There'll be some because it's out on the bench, but generally speaking now it's okay, as you can hear. Apart from the very top, but then again, where it's set up on the bench, it's meant to be. So what I do now is I get a tape, which I know has got something on it, and what I'll do is I'll drive it past the head manually, see if we get in the speaker. So I'll get a tape and I'll be right back. Now I know there's something on this tape, but I don't know what it is. This came with a batch with another tape recorder. I know it's been recorded on. So what we do, switch it to play, hold the pause down, and there you are. Okay, so it's playing. Going to the other side, it's picking up something. I think the other side of this one must be blank, but we know therefore from that the head is okay on 2 of the tracks, 1 setting at least, probably 2. So now we've got to put this together, nearly together, and try it and see what it doesn't do, because it seems now to be rather happier than it was, which makes me rather happier. than I was earlier on in the week, when all it would do was buzz and make noises, which it doesn't normally do. It should play tape, and at some point it will play tape. So that can go back into there and go in there right away, like that. That can go back over there when it comes off here, like that. And now we've got to put the thing together in such a way that you test it with the motor running and see if it does anything other than play properly, which I'm hoping it'll do. Bit of a beggar, this one, but I kept at it because this is a rare deck. That side of it, by the way, exactly the same as things like the TR5 Playmaster and the Bremer. It's now soldered up, of course, here. So we put the valves back in again. I would take them out just for safety, really. You know, always a good idea. So we put them all back in, and we'll see what happens in this blistering heat we've got today. It is quite amazing here. 95 degrees. So while I'm working on stuff like this is something which, yeah, I must be mad. I must be mad. Must be also not put my glasses on, but anyway, yeah. So it's going to be an interesting. It's been warm here, very warm. So bear with me if I make a few mistakes because of the heat. You know, it's been quite bad. Good, but bad. I mean, I'm not quite wishing for snow just yet, but you know, in this country, you know, we seem to be unable to satisfy with any weather, don't we? In good old Britain, whatever it is, we're not happy with it. We noticed that. Anyway, let's see if that warmed up. So it does, right? So now I'll put the tapes on. That annoyed by itself with birds making a racket today. The players was doped by the heat as I am, quite frankly, you know. And tomorrow's going to be the same, so I don't know quite. The thing is, though, is that in 1976, when I was a little bit younger than I am now, so a lot younger, in fact, you know, when we went out, we played in it, you know, I got pissed actually for the first time because my dad had a bottle of Strongbow cider in the fridge, and we ran out of ice pops and whatnot. We used to get. Can you still get those, by the way? And so I thought, well, I've got to keep warm still. Oh, another bottle of pop. So I got that bottle of pop and started drinking it, which was probably not a good idea because I was apparently rather ill. So seem to be a lot on the other side. So what I'll do is I will take the wheel, these off and turn them over. What this will do is we should get the backward track of that on the other track, on the other setting of the switch of the switch control. So that's what I'm going to do now. So it's a trick which you can do with these 4-track machines because of the way that 4 tracks are used. It's, you know, it's handy little trick to know. So let's see if it works, shall we? And let's see if it's still. Sorry about that. Now with the tape over, we press play now, which is this one here. That's the 1 and 4 tracks, and this. When you're working in this trade with this age of equipment, a tape recorder or a radio or record player, a TV apart and put together are 2 different machines. It would be different on the bench with some music out. Well, tonight I came in, I played it on the bench for a few minutes, no problem. Put the deck in, this case here, and it didn't. Yeah. And 2 things came to light. One, the wiring to the transformer is too short and it gets in the way of the EL84, which is here. And 2, for some reason the music went very, very quiet. Now that, I think, is because the ECC83, which is this valve here, didn't want to ECC83 anymore. It didn't lit up. It got hot, but it didn't light up. With the other valves out, I checked the sockets with a meter, and the 6.3 volts was still there. But like I said, it all, when put together, got in the way of this valve here. So I need to put that out and sort that out properly. It was like that from new, which is not very good. So what I did, I got some more cable, which is here. I'm going to rewire the transformer, and then I'm going to put another ECC83 in, put this back down again, and put the tape back in, and we'll see what happens. These things happen. It's the way the game is. So there we are. Nothing is easy with a vintage radio sometimes. Vintage tape recorders, although they're good to start with, they do have the problems, but sorting them out is easy in most cases. This is easy electronically, but it do give you a good grounding. So I'll wire the transformer up better, reroute the cables better, and we'll take it from there, as we say. It was that tape, but you can hear I put no tape on there, and it's a hell of a lot better. Musically as well, by the way, as you can hear. There we are. So as I said, I just run it for a bit and make sure nothing else crops up. Setting up these heads, by the way, on 4-track is a little bit more difficult, but this seems to be okay. So I'll leave it. Basically, what you do is you put a pre-recorded tape on 4-track. One you made yourself on a machine or personally made one, and tweak the playback for maximum. Put another tape on, and tweak the erase head to erase on both tracks, and that is it really. So that's how you do that. And of course these as well, which you do afterwards to make sure the tape path is okay and not sprinkled up or anything like that. That's how we do that. But anyway, I'm going to sit back now and relax for a bit. Why not? Especially this seat. Right, well at this stage I've linked it all the way to transformer and put them out of the way of the output valve. And now it doesn't do anything at all on it, but even with the valves in place. I noticed first of all that with the ECC83 out, that's this one, the one that was in it before died for some reason, so there's a new one. With the machine switch to record, which you do with this switch here on the circuit board, the magic eye showed some sort of oscillation going on, but there's nothing on record on playback at all, nothing. I put another E84 in for my junk box, and it flashed internally, so that went straight in the bin. And now what we do at this stage, therefore, is we look and we see what voltages we got and what voltages we haven't. And I'm going to start with the EL84. With it out of its socket, let's run only the voltages on pins 7 and 9, okay? Only 7 and 9, no others. So pin 9 is the second grid, which it should have on it. With the meter switched on. With the meter switched on, thank you very much, yeah. I'll put it where you can see, hang on. Can you see that okay? Can you, yeah, okay, right, okay. Now, pin 9, therefore, should have on it about 200 volts or a bit more, which it doesn't seem to have now, which it did before. All the holes on, haha. Okay, I'll try again. So pin 9 should have on it about, it does. Pin 7, the anode, we go through the output transformer, that's okay. That means therefore that the output transformer primary is likely to be okay. The secondary, by the way, is easy to check but not in circuit. Now on this particular unit, if you unplug one end of the speaker, like so, yeah, and go from that end that you've unplugged to where you've unplugged it from, you can check the speaker and the primary, secondary, the output transformer in one go. And so we put that on there, and you can see that looks about okay. Now then, with every valve or transistor, voltage has to go in and voltage has to come out. Okay, what goes in on a pencil circuit is on the placator in the L84, pin 7 and 9. On pin 3 of this circuit, there's a 1 ohm resistor to deck. So we'll put that back on there, just so we don't forget later on. Like that, yeah. Put that back to deck like that, and look on pin 3 down here. And there's nothing. At all. There's nothing on that pin at all, and there should be. So therefore, the next place we look is a 150 ohm resistor on the cathode output stage. It's going to look a circuit here, you see. It is of course that resistor there, R22. Yeah. So that's our next positive card, is R22. Which means of course I've got to take all this lot out again and change that resistor and try again. This machine is proving to be a bit of a nuisance. But with the scope, I found out that, look at the circuit here again, you see, I found that R18, that one there, for the grid of the pentode, had a good high voltage on it, but coming out with very, very little indeed. because I checked it on that resistor, and of course I checked it on the speaker as well. What I did therefore, and this might be cheap, but this is a quick check, is I dug the EL84 out of the bin, and I put it in, and look what happens. So therefore, that valve is no longer happy bunny. So this one is going to go in the bin because it is definitely faulty. And I'm not going to put this one in here because it's potentially faulty. So what I'll do now is I'll go and find an EL84 that works and put it in here, and hopefully then we can get back to the job of putting this radio together, the tape recorder together again, and making it work, I hope. New valve fitted, it all seems rather good. Okay, so that noise you hear, by the way, that's the sound on the tape being pushed on the head, so all the heads are good and sensitive when that happens. That's it was written on a record actually back in the day, a record by the Four Seasons. I think it was one of the early ones. Listen to it, you actually hear a tape rewinding in the background of the song. Forget which one it is. If anybody knows, then of course in reception down below you can tell us. I know it's one of them. I've got it somewhere, but I just can't remember which one it is right now. So anyway, so at this point now we have a tape recorder which appears to work. And like I said, this tape rather good, shall we say. But anyway, what I'll do now actually is I'll find out what's on this tape here and also try and record if we can. After I've got the circuit put back together again properly here. But we'll just see first of all what's on this tape from the that came with it. If anything is so, if not, then we can use it for any test recordings we are planning to make. This actually appears to be a 5-inch reel of tape put on to a 6-inch 5 and 3/4-inch reel. Looking back what's on it, but the green is on the is on this side. So, by the way, with these tapes, by the way, green is side 1 and red is side 2. Generally speaking, that's something which they do. So let's see what this tape has on it for us. Yeah, fine, okay, I think we can dispense with that. So let's put this back together again here. And also we've got to make sure that this lever here and this here goes into there. So now we put the thing together again, and while we're doing it, each time we put something together again, we test the machine, make sure it at least plays. That's because, like I said, a tape recorder together and a tape recorder apart are two very different machines. So first of all, I'll put the deck in, test it, and I'll put the screws back in here, test it. Well, once more onto the breech, dear friends. This has come back from Andy's. We took it down there, and he's putting what he had, which is a socket, which is an inch pair of the board. But I'm quite happy with that, because it means if I need to, I can reach underneath with the meter and find out where things are and aren't working. So now what I've done so far is I've not wired any board up, but apart from the on-off switch. So therefore, when I now power it, the motor should spin, which it does. Okay, so that's positive. Now with these situations, really, you need to think very much about the fact that this circuit here on the board here carries HT and LT. Yeah, the HT is rectified under here. There's a rectifier under here. The LT is 6.3 volts or thereabouts AC, which is these wires here, the blue ones. Okay, and that's the earth, and that's the other HT there. Okay, so those will go onto this board here. Okay, but I like to do it in stages, because other faults might, in this case, probably will occur. And so the next thing I'm going to do, also I'm going to put some weight underneath this board out of the way, because I don't want anything. I can't do a lot with that, but I don't anything else around the EL84, because it's hot and it'll. That was a bit of particularly bad design. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect them underneath here, and then I'll power it again, and we'll see from that exactly what is and isn't. Okay, so these two and this one, which goes to deck and goes to earth, will be connected, and then of course I power it again with it in valves in, and hope nothing goes bang. If it doesn't, I'll put the valves in one at a time and make sure they all light up. So that's what I'm going to do now. What I've done here now is I've rewired the LT side of it in such a way as to not go anywhere near the valve. It does get hot under normal operation. It won't get hot in a minute when I switch on to try it, because there's no HT. The HT is on this wire here, which I'm going to put out everybody's way, including mine. 270 volts on that. I don't think I'll fancy touching that. DC, by the way. So if we now, and I might be able to see it on camera, but if we now power it, we shall get 3 valves lighting up like that. Okay, so that was lit. That's okay. That one's lit, and that one's lit. Yeah, so we therefore have the voltage 6.3 volts on all these valves here. So it looks like it might be onto the door at this point. There won't be anything else, like I said, because there's no HT, and that valve will get hot, but not that hot. We just need to same with the ECC over here. We'll get hot, but not that hot, because all we're doing here is wiring. We've got 3 heaters wired in parallel. That's all we've got, nothing else. So again, if we take one out like that, you see, those will still up because they're in parallel. So and again, if I put this one back in, it'll light almost straight away. So that's the LT sorted. And now for the HT. Now for the HT, we'll knock that off. First thing we do is take these valves out again, because I don't want anything might upset the HT. So with the HT on, again, I'm going to measure and make sure it's getting everywhere it should. It should do. There's no reason why it shouldn't. But from there, I'll then put the valves in one at a time and see what happens. Okay, and of course the speaker as well. Now at this stage here, I have the HT connected up and the speaker. Also, although maybe you can't see it on camera, the EMA 810 I think is on this connected up. So if I now put power to it like that, we should get, when I put that in, and we get the green light as well, although you can't see it on camera. So we know therefore that the HT is there, because otherwise we won't get the green light. Okay, so now we put in the EM8, the EL84, and try again and see what happens now. Both those are full, and when that warmed up, the EL84, we get a little noise in the speaker and a click when switched from play to record. Therefore, if we now put in the the ECC3, which is this one here, like that, yeah, when it's warmed up again, we should get something. Goes away when you pull the valve out. Okay, now that might be because there's nothing on the pickup, so now I'll lengthen these, put them on, and we'll see what happens. Having said that, I wasn't happy about this valve, so it might be that. So I'll get another ECC 83 and we'll try it again. Well, that valve appears to be okay, because with it in now, and with the deck connected, there you go. Much more. Nothing on the wiggle the valves either. So it's obviously okay as far as playback is concerned. Now then for record. Now record on these. All these machines, like I said, the 8-put valve turns into an oscillator to record for the bias. So all it can be really is that coil there, which is common on these machines. We've got the circuit here. It's hang on. It's that coil there, yeah, that coil there, you see, and that actually goes generates the 56 kilohertz on there beat for record, which you can pick up actually on a long wave radio as well. So I'll take the tape off now, and then of course we'll put another tape on, and we'll see about record. Record is as important as it was with these decks these days, but it's always nice to have the thing recording as well, so I always try. Right, so recording on this machine in this state needs a little bit of extra handwork, because unfortunately these machines, the lever on the deck here, and you can't see which operates which switch it, which play to record. So what I do is I switch the machine to play like that, and when I put this pin it goes into record.
1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1.
Now record there. And then play it back.
One, two, three, four, five, 5 4 3 2 1. 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1.
That seems okay. So now we've got the job of putting the thing together again. Now, although this is a good deck, the Fidelity side of it has not been that well designed. Putting it back together again might be a little bit of a game in itself. So in these situations, again, what you do is take that out first of all and put a bit in place, which is the deck here. Try it. Put a bit more in place, try it like before. Now I've made a few alterations to this unit to make it a bit more safe really. First of all the wires that came out round this valve are now coming out from underneath elsewhere, so they're not coming out around that valve. That was the very bad design there, Fidelity. It really was. I've corrected that. So now we'll put this board back in place and we'll take it from there. Like I said, tape recorders, radios, unit apart and unit together are two different units, and for that reason you check it and check it and check it again. I had an Alba tape recorder a while ago. I think Defiant did the same model actually. It had a problem with when it came on. It would heat up and smoke and all sorts, but with the valves out it didn't. That one works in a similar way, but a bit more interesting than this one, shall we say, because it like this machine, it switched the output pencil side of it to the oscillator stage, which is very common as we know with these sort of machines. And when we had it before, hadn't put it together right, and the switch was outside. It was done by in a very cheap and quite nasty way actually, done with a way similar to this, with a V on the printed circuit board made out of metal, and the switch on the would operate similar to this. And what it done, it made sure that to make sure that the V is inside it, which it didn't. And so went from play to record and play again, at which point it decided that the ECL86 had no voltage on the anode of the pentode, but plenty on the second grid. Now that means that pentode will operate as a grid, and it didn't last very long, like 2 minutes. And so it came to me with complaint that it was smoking like heck, and with it apart, I could see why. So it's something to watch for on many of these machines. That really is. Anyway, now our time to look at putting this thing together again and see how to how to. You see, this switch here moves the lever here down, which moves that down there. I know you can't see it, but it's there. And so for that reason, that has to go in the right place on the circuit board as well. So I'll finish putting the board together and we'll try and put that in its place. Well, I think we're on our way home with this. As you'll see in a minute, it does play perfectly well, all together. Goes swing music played quite nicely there. So now we've got to put the rest of the case back together again, which a job of its own, you know. Also, even this will come off Playtime Mark II, so that's got to go on as well. But it's working. It's not a good machine. The deck isn't so bad, but the electronics on this from Fidelity really had some terrible mistakes on the design side. So if you get one of these, do be careful of that. So I'll put it together again properly and we'll have it running. So stay right there, as I shall be right back in a moment. There we are, the thing is together and working again. This unit was not one of Fidelity's best, and it could have been a hell of a lot better with a few small adjustments inside. Like I said, I've redone some of the wiring inside and put it somewhere better. As you can hear, it's working fairly well. It sounds quite good actually. But to get one of these, the deck for the BSR TD 20, it's a good deck. It's the old button arrangement like the Philips sets, but it don't have the Philips problem with the belts, which is very much inferior. It's also 3-speed, by the way, this. That's good, but the electronics on this from Fidelity, well, Fidelity could, and indeed have in the past done, a hell of a lot better. It's true that Fidelity are very much a fur coat and no knickers, but there's fur coat and no bra or knickers, quite frankly. It works, like I said, but, you know, there are things which could have been done a hell of a lot better. On the front, the circuit board inside, that had a few faults. Capacitors were fair enough in the sockets, but putting it in again, it working again was interesting, shall we say. The whole thing was just it should have been a hell of a lot better than it was. And Fidelity, shame on you, quite frankly, because this could have been an extremely good machine, but it wasn't. I mean, the lid of the tape decks, of the reels, is an interesting idea, which works. You know, the buttons work all directions. Controls are good, but basically they cut one corner too many on these. So if you get one of these Fidelity Playtime machines, either the Mark 1 or the Mark 2, be prepared for, shall we say, problems with it due to design. Earlier on that I would have said hard takes, but this one, quite frankly, like I say, it's working, but if you get one, they work, don't get me wrong, but they are not, they're not the nicest decks to work on. They could have been, that's the thing, they could have been. Simple things like, you know, not putting all the mains wiring near the 8-put valve. That's a simple mistake, which could have been put right very easily. You know, things like that, you know. And connectors rather than solder on would have been a lot better as well. But it's working anyway, so until next time, Steve Pendlebury here at Steve's Long Stay Workshop. Say goodbye, God bless, and whatever you got to be faithful to it. And I'll talk to you soon. And remember, it's the way to work. It's to repair things, and particularly in this day and age. Might need it soon, I tell you. Anyway, I'll speak to you soon, and bye bye.